Well, howdy YouTube, Unky Joe here, Unky Joe's Playhouse. We're going to do a nighttime video today because I have simply run out of time during the course of my work day. Well, while y'all have been out there working hard and making that money to put the kids into college and get them through school and raise your family, I've been goofing around at Unky Joe's Playhouse and playing with toys. So, today it's kind of a special video. You know how I really love my Synology NAS units, so much so that I built an i3 unit, 4U rack, and we put the drive cage in there a couple of weeks ago or a week ago. I love Synology products. Anyway, I built an Expanology NAS as well. I'm trying to wean myself off of Expanology, and I just, you know, I've had people tell me, do FreeNAS, do this, do Open Media Vault, and you know, none of them really appeal to me. So you know, when it comes to operating systems, especially NAS operating systems, I really they have to be intuitive for me to use them. I have been in this business so damn long. I hate bad UIs. I just hate them. I loathe them. It makes me not want to use a product. Now that's me. Your mileage might vary. You may not find that. You may like the techie, buried crap in interfaces acceptable. I don't. That's again why I go to Synology. That's one of the big hang-ups I have about FreeNAS. It's not intuitive. It's not easy to use. Not for me. I used FreeNAS years ago when it had an even worse interface than it has today. FreeNAS is a fine NAS operating system, but it's not as good as Synology, just in my way of thinking. It's not as easy and intuitive to use. So what has that left me with? Well, what it's left me with is Unraid. I keep coming back to Unraid for one simple reason, and that is another great YouTube channel out there called Invader One. If you have ever been to his channel, it is all about Unraid. And you know, Linus uses Unraid to run on his business. That's what his big servers are running, I believe, serving out all that 10 gigabit goodness on his network. So I decided to give Unraid a try again, and you know what, I'm glad I did. If it hadn't been for Space Invader One's channel and his continued great videos on Unraid, I wouldn't have attempted this. And the reason goes back to my complaint with FreeNAS. It's not intuitive. That, and I am I'm not a neophyte when it comes to Linux operating systems, but I am not as brilliant as I am on Windows operating systems. I mean, I know what I need to do under Windows and I can get it done. But on a Linux system, I have to go and research it, and that's one of the benefits of the Synology. It pulls you out of the Linux environment and puts you into, you know, a nice interface. So once I got to know the interface on Unraid via Space Invader 1's videos, it suddenly, you know, I had that epiphany moment and figured, oh, this is how this works. So, Unraid is not free. It's not open source. It is $59 for the basic version, and that gives you up to 6. You can have up to 6 hard drives on there, and that's how they base the licensing fee, is on how many hard drives or how many devices, SSDs or hard drives, you're going to have in the system. So you can have up to 6 on the version. Now I have not bought it and paid for it yet, but I'm going to. So I'm going to run the trial for. It's a 15-day trial, and my understanding is you can actually reactivate it for another 15 days for a total of 30 days on the trial. But so what I'd like to do is show you what components I'm going to be using for the Unraid server, and I'm building an Unraid server that can actually do 2 tasks, or it can run 2 different operating systems. And then I'm going to show you something just phenomenal that I did with Unraid I never thought I could do. And so enough talking, let's get started with the video. So does anybody out there recognize this beast? Yes, it is the MCS bench unit. However, if you look down at the workbench here, you're going to see something that may or may not be troubling to you. So let me move the camera and we'll get an overhead shot. This is the fan bank for the GTX 950. And you see what the problem is? This fan is fine. So I was working on this unit the other night and I started hearing a clicking and grinding. And if you look here, you can see how this bearing, see how it wiggles from side to side, is completely shot. So here's the deal. Getting one of these replacement fans, they all come from China. They're ubiquitous, they're easy to find, but they're usually a pack of 2 for 20 bucks, but you gotta wait a month, 2 months to get them from China through China Post. So, at Unky Joe's Playhouse, you know I am the king of cheap. So, I needed this video card. So here's what I did. I just mounted a 120 millimeter fan on it with some wire ties. As you can see, my father used to call this Polish engineering, but I made it work. It's on there. As you can see, I can lift the whole card. I went ahead and took off the heat sink while I was at it because this card was filthy. It's been in service for, well, ever since this unit here was my main workstation, which was a couple of years ago when I first started the channel. So I went ahead and took the heat sink off, cleaned it up, put new thermal compound on there. And I tested it thoroughly, and running a simulated load on this card, the highest temperature I got on it was 80 C. It did at one point go up to 81 or 82 C, but immediately came back down. I have ordered a Noctua fan to go on here instead of this one because this fan's a little bit old. I have also tested it. The card doesn't shut down because it doesn't detect a fan or anything. So I'm going to go with this solution for now. Well, there's no reason to spend that money and wait for China Post to get those fans in when this one is doing well on its own. So that's the way we're going to keep it. Now, just for frame reference, I've got an SSD drive in here. It's a 250 gig Samsung SSD, and then I have two 1 terabyte, two 1 terabyte spinning hard drives in here as well. And then on the top of the unit, and the little tray up top, I also have a Seagate. I'll bring the camera over here so you can see. In the top of this unit, I also have a Seagate spinning hard drive, and I'm going to tell you why I'm doing that and what the plan is for this machine. So let me spin the machine around and you'll remember it. It's in that in-wind case. It's a nice case. I have not found the cover for this where we took the Blu-ray drive out of it and put it in the unit next to it. I will find it. But it has two USB 2 ports on the front, a USB 3. It has a silent and turbo mode switch for the fans. I don't use it, I just keep it on turbo. Power switch up here, and like I say, the drive caddy in here. So what's on this drive? This drive has Windows 10 installed on it because this is my bench unit and occasionally I need to boot into Windows and do things. But the project we're going to cover today, and this is the whole reason I have a higher end video card in here, is this is going to be an Unraid server. In fact, it already is a Unraid server. So I have those two 1 terabyte drives in there set up in an array under Unraid, and we'll see that here in a minute when we go over to the computer. And then the SSD drive I use for the cache drive, and I'm going to explain to you how I have that configured set up and give you a brief overview of Unraid. We are going to be doing a lot of videos on Unraid moving forward with this setup because I'm trying to decide whether I want to move my infrastructure for my home network to Unraid instead of Exponology. And the more time I spend with Unraid, the more I get to know it, the better I like it. We've got a lot of videos coming up using this unit as our Unraid server, and that if need be, I can always boot into Windows on this unit as well, so I get the best of both worlds. Okay, so Jerry's got this all assembled back together. So we'll go ahead and fire it up. And no, there's no cable management on this unit. The reason there's no cable management is because it's a bench machine. It's constantly going to be a work in progress. So we'll go, and we're not even going to put a cover on it because I want to make sure everything stays nice and cool. So what we're going to do now is we're going to boot this thing into Unraid, and then you can join me back over at the desktop. Now let me prepare you. This could end up being a rather long video. Anyway, the unit is up and running behind me. It's the tall white tower right there. You saw it earlier. It is booted up to Unraid off a USB key, and you do have to install Unraid onto a USB key. The installer has got a wizard on it. It's great. It'll even let you set your IP address and all that stuff before you actually boot up the machine. And then you take that USB key and you plug it into any computer, and you boot off the USB, and you then go into the interface of Unraid and do your basic configuration. Now, again, it's not a Synology NAS. There are no wizards. There's nothing that comes up and tells you what you should do first, what you should do second, third, fourth. So, and this is not a tutorial video. This is simply me showing you I've got it up and running. Now, later on down the line, we may do some more advanced videos on it, but the whole reason I built this Unraid was to prove a point to myself that you will find out later on in the video. That's why it's going to be a little bit long. If I tried to cover the setup of Unraid from soup to nuts, it would be a 3-hour-long video. This machine is a conglomeration. This was my old workstation 2 or 3 years ago before I updated my Ryzen rig. I got my first start on YouTube with this machine. It was a workhorse. Alright, so here we are at the Unraid interface, and I've called my media server Unraid Beast. You can see up here in the let me click my mouse up here. You can see up here in the corner. And yeah, it's been up and running 5 minutes. I've got 12 days of my trial remaining. You can see here I've got, it tells me the status of my hard drives, the temperatures, whether they're assigned or unassigned. I have a special plugin in there called Unassigned Devices, so that's why you're seeing this here. You may not see that on your Unraid setup. I've got some apps up here, the BinHex Crusader, which is a file manager similar to Total Commander but for Linux. I've got a Linux Mint 19 machine and a Windows 10 Pro machine that is a very interesting virtual machine. That's what I really like about Unraid, is its virtualization. I believe it uses the QEMU emulator, QEMM. I don't remember the name of it, but somebody will correct me in the comments section. So you can see down here we got 4 cores. But anyway, my memory usage, you can see I've got 16 gig of RAM, gigabit NIC card, etc., etc. Come over to the main tab. This is how I have my drive set up. The 2 1 terabyte drives. I've got one of them set up for parity, one of them set as a RAID member or an array member. So basically it's RAID 1 is what this is. But I could add drives to this as I need to. Then my cache drive, and you know, Unraid really does need a cache drive, especially if you're going to be doing virtualization or that kind of thing. It's just a way for you to have faster storage to run your VMs off of, your Docker containers. And the way that your cache drive works is that if you tell it on your shares up here, if you tell it to save to the cache drive or set it as preferred, it'll save to the cache drive first, and then later a process will run called mover that will actually move it off of the SSD and back onto the array drive up here, the 1 terabyte, and it does that. You know, you can change that setting. And then this is the actual flash drive for the Unraid software. And then here I have my Seagate 500 gig hard drive. This is my Windows 10 drive. So because I have loaded that unassigned devices plugin, I could actually mount that drive and see the contents. And then I can stop my array, check the parity, reboot, spin it up, spin it down, clear the statistics, etc., and also power down the machine. And then over here on shares, I've got my app data share, my data share, my domain share, ISOs, media, and my system. And these little orange triangles here is just warning you that some or all files are unprotected, because Those are over on my cache drive, and it's not part of the array, but the mover will take care of the app data and the system and keep it moved around. So if I were to click on system, you can see where the cache drive says prefer. So it saves the system data to the cache disk. However, if you set it as preferred, it indicates that all new files and subdirectories should be written to the cache disk pool, provided enough free space exists on the cache pool. If there is insufficient space, the new files and directories are created on the array. Now when the mover is invoked, files and subdirectories are transferred off the array and onto the cache disk pool. So that's how that works. Got your date and time, your disk settings. I have set my drives to use BTRFS, ButterFS file system, both for the array and for the cache drive. Then I've got my Docker settings here, my identification, network, global share. And you probably can't see it, but down here, if I switch over to the left monitor, you'll be able to see right down here, it gives you a temperature reading on the CPUs and a temperature reading on the motherboard, and then the fan speed right down there. My VMs are over here, so I've got a Linux Mint 19, and then I have a Windows 10, and in order to edit that, I just click on it, and I can come down here to edit. And so you'll see I've got the CPU mode and host pass-through. I've got 4 CPUs assigned, 4 gig of memory. It's emulating an i440FX 3.0. I'm using OVMF BIOS. Hyper-V is enabled, USB controller. I currently don't have an operating system install or avert ISO because they've already been installed. But look what I do have. Looky there, boys and girls. Yes, something I have been trying to do for years. Pass through a video card to a virtual machine. And it wasn't easy. It is not trivial. And if you try to do it, I wish you good luck, because you're going to need to do your homework on it, and you're going to need to get your ducks in a row in order for it to work. And as part of this video, I'm going to show you it actually working. Now, under apps, this is like an app store. It's very similar to what Synology uses. They have apps out there, so if you're looking for a particular backup application, a cloud app, a downloader, network services, media applications, media servers, like MB should be under here. Yep, there's MB, there's Plex. So everything you can run on Synology and FreeNAS, you can run on, you can run on Unraid. So if you have a powerhouse server that you've built, you can run everything from one location, including your media servers. You can install productivity tools. I mean, it's just, the limit is your imagination. And then under tools, you have your diagnostics, etc., your web GUI, your about page. And the big one is right here, system devices. I really like. Now, because this is an old motherboard, the PCI ACS override had to be enabled in order for me to pass through this video card right here. That's one of the things. The video card has to be in its own IOMMU group in order for you to pass it through to a virtual machine, and in order for it to work. And there are actually 2 devices. One is the video card and the other one is the HDMI audio driver, so that's why you see those both there. So we'll come back here. So let's go back to the dashboard, and there you go in all of its glory. Alright, so what I'd like to do now is kind of show you a demo of the Windows 10 virtual machine I've set up on Unraid to give you the ability, to give you an idea of the capabilities of Unraid. Now I can come right here and I can actually start this virtual machine, so that's what I'm going to do. Now, normally when you set up a virtual machine under Unraid, you're using the VNC viewer, but since we are directly putting through the video card, we cannot do that. It won't work with VNC. So you'll have to set up your virtual machine to run either remote desktop, or you'll have to put some sort of screen sharing software. But for me, I'm just going to go up here and I'm going to click on Start. Now, you'll see down here immediately it starts eating up my CPU cycles. That's good. That's what it should be doing as it boots up. So I'm going to give this a couple of minutes to boot up, and then I'll come back and we'll go into the actual virtual machine. So the proof, they say, is in the pudding. Okay, just so you know, I am connected via RDP. My connection quality is excellent, and UDP is enabled. Okay, so you see I've got 4 cores in here. It's identifying it, and I misspoke. It's a 3470S CPU. I've given it 4 gig of RAM. I've given it a 50 gig hard drive, and you'll see it's a VirtIO SCSI disk device. I've got my Red Hat VirtIO Ethernet adapter loaded, and lo and behold, I have an NVIDIA GeForce GTX 950 with all of the settings enabled in it on a virtual machine. Isn't that neat? But wait, it gets better. Well, let me explain something to you. Now, this does not mean you could set up 5 Windows 10 virtual machines and each one of them could access this video card through pass-through. That's not the way that works. Once you pass through a device to a virtual machine, at least it's my understanding, that is the only machine that can use that video card. Follow me? So if you're going to have 2 virtual machines, both using the NVIDIA video card, you're going to have another video card in there, plain and simple. So keep that in mind as we go through the next part of this video. Don't get all excited and think you're going to run 5 virtual machines under Unraid and they're all going to share that video card. That's not the way it works. We are dedicating that video card to that virtual machine. That's very important you understand that. Now, I have run benchmark after benchmark on this machine. So I hope it's going to perform well here in a virtual with me recording with OBS. So, but just in case, I have copied all of my benchmarks, and I will share them with you after I'm done demoing the virtual machine. So I'm just gonna go right into it. I'm gonna bring up the Tropics demo, and I'm gonna leave it at DirectX 11. I'm gonna set it at high. I'm just gonna run the default. And yeah, I know Tropics is not a big huge pig on, you know, for running a demo, but I just want you to see. I'm gonna go ahead and run a benchmark, and look at the frames per second I'm getting in a virtual machine. Phenomenal, right? But look at the frames per second we're getting on this. Now it's going to slow down as we close in on the island, but so far our minimum frames per second have been 48.5, and our maximum was 161.3. And this isn't a virtual machine, right? Now, I don't know that I'll be able to do this, but I'm going to try. Nope, it won't let me bring it up. I was going to try and bring up the task manager, as you can see here. It is using the CPU and it is using the GPU to its full potential there, even with that little Unky Joe engineered fan mod on my video card. Now I'm gonna go ahead and quit the benchmark on this if I can. Oh, escape to cancel. Okay, good. And now I'll quit. So that was the Tropics demo. Well, you're probably thinking to yourself, okay, yeah, that demo's pretty old though. Okay, well, let's do the Valley benchmark. Hopefully this will run. Okay, the preset is custom. It's using DirectX 11, high quality, single monitor, anti-aliasing off, stereo 3D off, full screen. Let's go ahead and run. And let's see what kind of performance we get. I've just been obsessed with doing a virtual machine with a graphics pass-through for years. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. Right now our frames per second are at about 60. I'm going to go ahead and run the benchmark on it so you can see for yourself what we're getting. Now, there is some jerkiness in the video, as you can see here. It's not real bad. And what I'm trying to figure out, is that due to my network, or is that due to RDP, or is that due to something? So, and this is going to be an ongoing process because I will find a resolution to this issue if it kills me. But you can see my FPS is fine. Now, the ultimate question is can you game on this? Well, that depends on you. What kind of gamer are you? I mean, if you're, if you can't stand any latency whatsoever, I don't know that this will work for you. But you can see the frames per second we're getting. You can see it's even given us a temperature monitor on that video card right up here in the corner. You see that there. Last night this card got up to about 80 C, which is a little higher than I like it, but once I get that Noctua fan in here, I think that'll help keep that a little bit cooler. But tonight and it could have been room temperature too. I don't have a cover on that case, so that may or may not have had something to do with it. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and quit this one. And then what I'm going to do is load up the Heaven benchmark. So again, we're going to do DirectX 11 high, no Tessellization, no anti-alias, and none of that. Just the custom settings that come out of the box, and we're going to run it full screen. Wait for this to come up. I'm actually glad it's working as well as it's. And you can see it's a fairly speedy machine for being a. This is probably the fastest virtual machine I've ever used. And look, I'm not a gamer. I'm not a benchmarker. And you can see we get some stuttering, but our frames per second is still pretty good at 40, 35 to 40. I'm not a gamer. I don't know what a lot of these test results mean in the world of gaming. I don't even pretend to be a gamer, but all I can do is show you the test results that I'm getting in the virtual machine. So you'll have to judge for yourself whether you think it's worth doing. But you could imagine if you had a machine, an Uber machine with like 4 or 5 video cards in it and lots of RAM and really speedy SSD drives, this would make a hell of a LAN party machine. You know what I'm saying? If people still do that sort of thing. You see the temperature climbing up here. It's getting up to 72 C now. It may not get up to 80 C tonight because I don't have quite as warm a room as I had last night. But you can see that picture quality is pretty good. There is some dithering when it goes from side to side, or is that just the shadow making it look like it's dithering? But yeah, all in all, I'm pretty impressed with the way this thing performs. So I'm going to go ahead and exit this application, come back to the desktop, and you can see our CPU usage is now dropped. Our GPU usage is dropping as well. All right, let's run, just for shits and giggles, let's run Cinebench. I don't know that it's going to run the OpenGL, but I'm interested to see the CPU. I think if memory serves me right, I had some trouble running the OpenGL in the virtual machine. I may be wrong. We'll try it again here, but nothing like doing it live, huh? Now, according to this, an i5 3470S should get about 450 CBs, if I'm reading that right. Yeah, i5 450, 452. So we shall see. But be honest with me. Can you tell this is a VM I'm running? It is. Look, I'm not lying. Look, it's a VM. There's the RDP. It's not a physical machine. It is running on that Unraid server right here behind me. Look, I'm going to pinch myself because I'm having trouble believing it. Sorry I hit the desk there, but yeah, I'm excited about this. Yeah, I know it's a pain sitting here watching the screen refresh, but I want you to see it in real time. I could have sped up the video, but then I wouldn't have so much time to talk, so. This really kind of opens my eyes to how well written some Linux software is. And now I believe this virtualization was developed by Red Hat, this technology. I mean, it stands to reason. We're using all Red Hat VirtIO drivers on this thing. And I couldn't do this under Proxmox, and I couldn't do it under XCP-ng. It doesn't mean it can't be done. So 3, a little bit lower than a regular physical machine. You see down here it shows 450, 452. Mine's a little bit less. So we'll see. Now let's see if we can run the OpenGL. And yeah, the one thing that gets me is this GFX card does not support the required features. So I can't run the OpenGL test on there. But no big deal. You can see it ran the CB test just fine on the CPU. And now one of my ultimate tests of any system is the file transfer speed. So let's go over here and copy a video. let's do our regular videos that I like to do. Let's do the Alien series. Grab all them. And I'm going to go ahead and put them, I'm going to copy them onto the SSD drive and do a test folder. And we'll just see what kind of performance we get. Now this is coming off of my home NAS, my Xpenology home NAS. So we start out pretty good. Let's see if it maintains that speed. And here we are in a virtual machine with a VirtIO driver on a Linux-based Unraid, and look at the file transfer speeds. You know what a pain in the butt I can be about network file transfer speeds. And you can see it helps having those 4 cores there because it is utilizing them at about 20%. But you see the Ethernet throughput speed is about 953 megabits per second. That is just phenomenal. It's playing very well. And the next thing we're going to do after we're done with the copy is we're actually going to play. These are all standard definition videos in here. So we're going to start out with an standard definition video, and then we're going to try a high def video, and then we're going to try a high def video through YouTube and using Google Chrome. So that's going to be the sequence of events here. Because I can show you benchmarks all day long, and they're not going to give you a feel for the actual speed of the machine. So, alright, so let's just go into Alien Resurrection. We're just going to play this with, hopefully I have VLC Media Player on here. And turn the audio down. Let me get rid of that. And I'm going to bring up Task Manager. So you can see there's the video. Seems to be working well. I can fast forward through it. Got some action scenes going on there. It's not very much impact on the CPU. It's running well. Can fast forward and rewind through the video. It's doing great. Now then, let's go and play another one. Let's go to Quick Access here. This is Guardians of the Galaxy. Now this is definitely a high def video. This is a 28 gig file. And I'm going to play it across the network. So not only am I could copy the file to the local drive, but why? Let's play it off the network. So I'm going to right click on it, and this is just with VLC. And we're going to see how it does. And I believe I've got the subtitles turned on. Now the audio does come through. Hear the audio? Yeah, I'm going to cut the audio off. Let's go to an action scene. Let's go to the fight in the park, and we'll just see how it's doing. And you can see it is streaming across my Ethernet connection, my VirtIO connector. The picture quality is fantastic. There's no stutters. There's no jitter. There's no nothing. Let's get to an action scene and see what happens. Here we go, the big fight scene. Yeah, it's hitting the CPU pretty good, but you see it is also using the GPU like it should be doing. And there you go. Don't want to leave that on there too long. Now the ultimate test, and I think this test is actually better than a lot of the others on testing your computer. So what test would that be, Unky Joe? Well, that test would be playing a high def video on Google Chrome. Let's do Aladdin, the official trailer. We'll give Aladdin a little advertisement here. We did this one earlier. Jerry and I did. We were playing around with things. And let me bring up the... And again, all my keys work just like normal, Alt-Tab and whatnot. And you can see the impact on CPU and the NVIDIA pass-through video card. And you can see up here that we are playing, well, it's 1920 by 802. That's probably because of the RDP connection, but it is, you know, for all intents and purposes, almost high def. We're just short of the 1080p. So, I don't know. What do you think? Oh wow, that's a good scene. The genie scene is a great scene, but I don't want to. Again, this is freely available on YouTube, so fair use. Wow, that is really a good picture. On my end, what I'm seeing with my eyeballs. Now yours, it might be a little bit blurry. It depends on the video capture. So, and OBS doesn't have the best video capture. But anyway, I digress. As you can see, it's playing a YouTube video. See if we can get to a little more action scene here. Yeah, there's a A lot of color, a lot of movement, a lot of action here, and everything just pops. So there you go, playing a YouTube video. Now I want to do one more test, and I think I have the software on here. It's called MB Theater, and we're just going to run MB Theater. We're going to play a high-def video. So again, I'm going to go to Action Adventure. We're going to come down here to Guardians of the Galaxy, right here, and I'm going to go ahead and resume and make sure I got my volume turned down, and then we'll come over here to the action scene and see how it's doing. Yeah, not bad. It's still not as it takes more resources than it does just playing it through VLC, which is what I would do is if I were playing it on a computer. I wouldn't use the interface of MB. But MB is less impactful on the system. But there you go, there's MB running a high-def video, and again, the machine didn't even blink. So come back to our MB dashboard, and there it is, just sitting there idle. I could go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and play a video. Again, I'm just going to let it stream the Guardians of the Galaxy. Hang on, VLC, please. Yes. And I'm going to go ahead and get into an action scene. Pardon me. Didn't mean to blow your ears up. Yeah. Okay. Yep, it's playing. Let's go out here and we can come back to the monitoring screen, and you'll see, even streaming a high-def video across my network, it's, you know, 30%, 20% CPU usage. Not bad at all. I am very, very impressed with the performance of this virtual machine in Unraid, to say the least. Yeah, so I was right. Linus does run Unraid on his Uber server. Look at that. Look at all those video cards in there. And I believe he uses it to run his business on as well. I believe that's how he serves out his video editors, is using an Unraid server. So, and one of the nice things about the Unraid website is they've got, if you're a hardcore gamer, they have specific setups you can go out and look. If you're digital media, multi-operating system, or data storage, you can go here and it'll take you to their forums where people have built specific machines. It'll run Plex, it'll run Steam, Kodi, etc., Docker containers, etc. It seems to have a really nice community group of people. As you can see here, pricing, I promised you I'd tell you pricing. So for the basic license, you get up to 6 attached storage devices, and then you can upgrade basic to plus for $39 additional, or upgrade basic to pro for $79. The plus, you can have up to 12, and the pro, you can have unlimited storage devices. So you'll need to determine what the best fit is for you and get it. And but there you are. There's the Unraid website. So far, again, I'm very pleased with it. All right, so I'm over on the Space Invader One YouTube page, just so you know which one it is. And Unraid must be a niche area, because he doesn't have a whole lot of subscribers. He's got more than I do, but that's not how we judge our life. Anyway, he should have more subscribers, in my opinion. His videos are fantastic. And it's not only Unraid. It's Unraid. It's how to run applications on Unraid like Nextcloud, Let's Encrypt, how to recode your downloaded videos. I mean, it'll take me months and months just to go through. I've been watching his videos over and over again, and they're still relevant today. He does a really good job of explaining how Unraid works and how to put all the pieces together. So if you're interested in Unraid at all, go check out Space Invader One's YouTube channel, and trust me, you won't be disappointed. Now, one thing I did not know, if you look behind me on the desktop, you see that Windows? That's actually the Unraid server, and that's a monitor connected to it. I'm in that RDP session, and there's the monitor over there. That tells you something. Not only can I run an RDP session, but I can sit at the terminal itself, and I could probably actually interface with the keyboard and mouse over there and run that Windows 10 virtual machine from there as well. I'm going to go ahead and shut down this Windows 10 machine. I'm actually going to and see what effect that has on the monitor over there. So now that I've shut it down, it should go back to the Unraid screen. Monitor is detecting. It may go to a blank monitor as well. But I never knew it did that because I never bothered to look behind me while I was playing with this. No, it looks like it's just going to a blank screen. But that's fine. Unraid is still up and running. It freaked me out because, you know, I've got that machine set up to dual boot, and I thought, what happened? Did it reboot? Did something break in the middle of a video and it went back to Windows 10? No, that's not what happened at all. What happened was it was displaying the monitor output on the window or on the monitor of that Unraid server. So yet another feature I didn't know about. So again, not a deep delve into Unraid, and I'm an Unraid neophyte. I really don't know a whole lot about it, and everything I've learned is from Space Invader One. But that's what these channels are all about. We help one another out, we learn from each other, and hopefully you people that find some enjoyment in this will get something out of this video. I know I sure as hell enjoyed making the video. I played with this over the weekend for 2 days, and then I showed it to Jerry today, my partner, and he was impressed. And it's always been my goal to get pass-through of devices. I toyed with putting this on the Dell R710. The problem with the Dell R710, you can put a video card in there, but you're limited to something like a GTX 710. It has to draw less than 25 watts or less, and you have to be, there are only 8x PCI expansion or PCI Express slots on these servers. They don't have PCI Express 16. The card would run and it would function well, but I'd have to cut a slot, and I'm not going to do, or get an adapter, and I'm just not, it's just not worth it for me. But I had this bench unit laying around, so it makes for a great evaluation unit, even with the hacked video card I have on there. So we're going to keep this running. We're gonna play with it through the trial period, and as I learn new stuff about it, we'll do more videos on it. But I wanted to get this one out there and show everybody what the potential is for Unraid, and I underestimated it. I have to be honest with you. I did not know you could do all this cool stuff with it. And actually, truth be told, I visited this a year ago. I was gung-ho on Unraid, and then I just kind of lost interest and got busy. And then I ran across one of Space Invader One's videos again, and it re-inspired me. And that's how it goes sometimes. You just, you know, you got to set aside time for it. I hate doing an eval on an operating system that I haven't had time to spend with. So this time I slowed down and said, no, I'm going to learn a little bit about it by doing, and not get so frustrated with it like I normally do with NAS systems. And, you know, Unraid is actually more than a NAS. The way it does its hard drives, it's okay, it's fine. As you can see, we got great transfer speed, so that wasn't an issue. One of my pet peeves, as you know. All in all, I'd say Unraid right now, as far as I can see, is a win-win for me. But, you know, your mileage might vary. Well, folks, that's going to do it for this video, and we certainly hope you found it entertaining and informative, if nothing else. Leave your comments down in the comment section, please. We love comments. Please give us a thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe and hit the notification bell. If you want to donate to the continued growth of the channel, PayPal or Patreon are both gladly accepted. We're getting closer to our 5K subs, and I'm going to tell you right now, we're going to do a giveaway once we get to 5,000 subs. We have a couple of items to give away. I'm not going to tell you what those are right now, but keep an eye out for the video once we hit the 5,000 sub mark, and we'll tell you what that giveaway is going to be. It's going to involve a drawing and all that wonderful stuff. So make sure you come back and see us, and please don't forget that we will see you on the other side.